I am really fascinated with this idea of managing adversity effectively in our lives. There are so many tools we can put in our toolkits. Let's think about just a couple of them. First, we can find a role model, somebody who's doing what we want to be doing effectively and successfully, and we can sort of model after them. We can borrow their belief that, oh, this can be done. This can be accomplished. Number two, we can get a group of social supporters who maybe don't do the managing or healing for us, but they can certainly do it with us, and that's just really effective. A third thing we can do as we're managing adversity, obstacles in our lives, is that we can do our best to stay out of fear and into faith, to stay out of fussing about every little thing and go to calmness and prayer and reflection and meditation and mindfulness. So those are all great. There are a couple of other resilience factors that have played large role in my life, and I'd like to share a couple more of those with you. What if you wrote a book about 10 ways to be resilient, and then you got shot 15 times? Do you think you could bounce back from that? You know, we think about steel, and steel can flex and return, flex and return. It can be bent and come back to its original position. But sometimes we get pretty bent out of shape in life by a number of things, and I don't feel like we ever come all the way back. I feel like life changes us, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the bitter. So let's look at what this man did. Do you want to hear his backstory? His name is Dr. Richard Charney, and currently he is the chief of medicine at Mount Sinai. So let's go back to 2016. And he had a 1-hour commute from his house into work at Mount Sinai every day. Every day he stopped in at his favorite New York deli and he got an iced coffee and a bagel. So he was in there one day in August of 2016, unbeknownst to him, a scientist he'd had to fire 6 years before for medical fraud. This man fudged the results of a medical study. He was waiting for him in the deli and shot him 15 times. So there's Dr. Charney, eventually in ICU with broken ribs, with a punctured lung, but thankfully nothing hit his heart. And he's thinking to himself, I have just been invited to walk the walk. I have just been invited to see if I can talk the talk of that book I wrote back in 2012, in which I outlined 10 factors favoring resilience in our lives. I mean, you can only imagine, I can only imagine that he was lying there thinking, how do I redraw my relationship to life, to God, to living after this happened to me? But he did, and he did it pretty successfully. Let's go back and look a little bit at Dr. Charney's background. About the year 2000, about 25 years ago, he started looking at people with PTSD and other trauma-related conditions. These people were war veterans, they were victims of natural disasters, they were people who experienced physical and sexual abuse. They had been in serious car accidents. A few were on the beach in Thailand during a tsunami. Some were in Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. Some had suffered debilitating diseases. He studied in particular people who did not go to 3 things. They didn't go to anxiety, and they didn't go to depression, and they didn't go to substance abuse. And he found that amazing. And frankly, so do I. Do you? I mean, have you been tempted by any of those things? I think that's natural in life. But what he noticed is that the people who did the best with disasters, with obstacles, with terrible adversity in their lives were the people who possessed the ability to adapt and adjust, people who had, in particular, emotional flexibility. They didn't just have mad, sad, glad, and bad. Okay? They could go beyond that and have many more emotions. In his book, he writes, as you go through your day, do you notice that you use different emotional regulation strategies in different situations? Some examples include, these are the good ones, accepting and reappraising. Some, I don't know, some are adaptive, some are a little bit more maladaptive. He goes on to say there can be distracting, sabotaging, criticizing yourself, worrying about the future, ruminating about the past, getting stuck in obsessive thoughts that go round and round, engaging in emotional eating, using substances, and so on. So he poses the question, do I find it easy as we go through our days to go through all this roller coaster of emotionality, all of these different emotions we cycle through in a day? I know that I can be coping okay at 9 o'clock at night, and at 10 o'clock I'm emotionally eating, right? Well, some of that flexibility is fantastic. The best kind of it, the kind that predicts our best and highest mental health, is the kind that allows us to go from adapting and reappraising. And that's really what Dr. Charney had to do as he was trying to go about being a great doctor, producing some great research. He's invented new medical devices. And then he gets shot with a shotgun 15 places. I mean, he really had to do just what he suggested in his book. Also in his book, it's somewhat related, but not exactly. He talks a lot about the last factor of having the ability to adapt to diversity, and it deals with the human body. Move your body, strengthen your heart, strengthen your muscles, have a healthy diet. But more than anything, you know, he focuses on these things we've talked about over these last few visits. Finding a role model. He found one who had come back. He found many. He found 2,000 people actually who had come back from really difficult adversity and gone on to use their emotional flexibility to come out of all those disasters. Different, but not defeated. Different, but not defeated. It was as though they could each still touch in with that core, that essence of themselves that was goodness, hopefulness, forward-looking, optimistic. He studied optimism a little bit separately but somewhat together and learned that it can be learned. You can increase your optimism. One great way to do that is to have a gratitude journal. And he did that for each baby step he took on his journey, you know, to coming back to full health. He was grateful the day they reinflated his lung. He was grateful the day that his rib was fully healed and it didn't hurt to draw a breath. So he found lots and lots of ways to be grateful, which led to optimism. So just an amazing story. So we've talked about the ways we can face adversity in our lives, the way we can flex and come maybe not all the way back, but we come back differently, not defeated. We can come back even believing more strongly in our abilities to be resilient people. Let's just recap them really quickly. We can find a role model, whether real or imagined. In Science of Mind and Spirit, we talk a lot about mental equivalence. Finding a mental equivalent for what it is you want to have in your life, and then believing in it. Having a strong support system that supports you. It might be with squishy love, it might be with tough love, but a support system is important because it connects us to other people, and that connectivity does great things within our immune systems, like releasing oxytocin, which binds us even more to people, which is a great thing. Loneliness kills people. Connection is a great predictor of a long life. Thirdly, we can consistently go to faith and not fear, coming out of amygdala, I call my amygdala Miggy. I know Dr. Michelle calls her self-sabotagey voice Sabby. So you could name yours. I call my amygdala Miggy, and I say, hey, thanks for alerting me to that. I know there's bad traffic. I know there's too much sugar in that. I know that relationship is not going so well. But thank you, and I've got it now. From here, you can come out of fear, go into faith with our tools of prayer and reflection, meditation, mindfulness, going into nature, going into music, going into movement, whatever you like to do. And then we can adjust and adapt. Next, we can use our abilities to be emotionally flexible. Again, just being able to go from a negative emotion, talking ourselves back up to one that's more adaptive and adjusting. And then lastly, moving our wonderful divine body temples, these God-given homes for our spiritual beings. So lots and lots to be grateful for in that. I feel like Dr. Charney could do it, and he's an inspiration in the way he rewired himself, relearned how to look at life, kind of renewed his relationship with life and with living. He could do it. He's a great role model, and so can we. So much to be grateful for in that. Shall we take it all into prayer? Oh, just going within now, knowing that I and everyone on this planet is an expression of the best and the highest, an expression of grace, of light, of clarity, and of wisdom. I feel within me right this minute the presence of the infinite, that ageless, timeless, birthless, deathless, creative ultimate presence that is in me, as me, infusing every cell, tissue, fiber, and organ with that infinite intelligence. I know that I am one in spirit, enjoying that seamless unity with that which originated me, created me, sustains me, and supports me in every moment. I literally can feel the healing going on within my life as I use these wonderful tools. I feel it physically, emotionally, relationally, in terms of my spirituality, my mental health, and my finances. I know and I affirm that I am indeed an embodiment of the indwelling Spirit. I give thanks for all aspects of our lives, the good, the bad, the highs, the lows, the twists, the turns. I face all of it with, I know, the gifts that are within me, the peace, the gratitude, and the love. I release this now, knowing that it is indeed done to us as we believe, that we are indeed transformed by the renewing of our minds, and that it is done to humans as we believe within ourselves. Knowing all of that to be true and present and happening, I release this in faith and in trust, simply by saying, and so it is.